Hey, it's time for that thing that everybody's sick of. This week we had two major news items. One, Roger Ebert still thinks games aren't art. Number two, we still give a shit about that. And we should. I'm glad, actually. It feels a little bit futile, but there's a reason. So yeah, I also got a little bit tired of watching rage spew forth from every puckered sphincter of the internet. But I don't wonder why. Roger Ebert, despite how you might feel when he mouths off like this, is a really smart guy. A brilliant guy, actually. As a critic, he's practically a goddamn national treasure. At least when he's talking about something he actually knows bug-raped fuck all about. And when he acts like an idiot, it's easier to be furious than it is to be just sort of sad and disappointed. I still look up to the bastard, and it's not fun to have to accept that his brain became calcified at some point. I clicked on that story in the genuine hope that he'd made some kind of deathbed conversion. Well, that didn't happen, and being pissed sure beats crying about it. You've probably already heard dozens of really well-reasoned arguments here. I'm going to assume I'm preaching to the choir. Ebert himself could probably use convincing, but this isn't an argument, and he ain't listening. He's being an intellectual bigot and hiding behind a wall of arbitrary bullshit. Games aren't art because they're interactive, and real art is an experience entirely dictated by the artist, and blah, blah, fucking blah. That's his own personal definition, actually excludes a lot of already accepted high art and has screaming bat-winged monkey shit to do with anything. But I'm not actually arguing with him here. Better people than I have tried, and reasoning with this man is like trying to derail a train by flicking boogers at it. But just for the hell of it, let's be really pedantic and look up this art shit. Merriam-Webster's is going to have to do. If you're going to tell me to use the OED or something, fuck yourself, I don't care. It is the conscious use of skill and creative imagination, especially in the production of aesthetic objects, also works so produced. Which seems pretty inclusive. Probably too inclusive, by that definition burping the alphabet as an art. Of course, this is distinct from high art, which is mostly defined by exclusion, and the exclusion shifts around a lot over time. Let's say you're an art, like personally. If you want to join the high art club, the three things that'll disqualify you are being new, popular, and spectacular. These are the exact same reasons fucking opera had a hard time getting past the bouncer. Video games aren't having it a damn bit easier. They both combine multiple recognized forms of high art in an unfamiliar way, and it got the shit snubbed out of it until another generation of crusty old bastards finally passed on. And then, as usual, the new thing gets old itself and spends the rest of its time telling the noobs to fuck off. Pretty standard shit. So why do we care? We know Ebert's wrong. He's being a troll. He himself asked why we have such an overwhelming amount of give a fuck about this. And that's the important bit. Ebert himself, of all people, should know the answer to this. So let's talk about film. You know, the area where the guy actually knows what the hell he's talking about. It had to climb through the exact same pile of bullshit and suffered for it. Set the Wayback Machine for 1915. Take a look at the case of Mutual Film Corporation versus Industrial Commission of Ohio. The Supreme Court held that movies were not art. They weren't speech, they couldn't communicate ideas, they were not protected by the First Amendment, which provided for the continued existence of censorship boards. A film couldn't be shown if a bunch of miserable old bastards pronounced it obscene or sacrilegious or a lot of other arbitrary things that were just thinly veiled code for speech or ideas that they didn't agree with. Yeah, the irony there is a bit thick, but that's how things stayed until fucking 1952. And that's what we're dealing with all over again. Does this shit have artistic merit? If it doesn't, it's not protected speech, and it can be regulated, censored, banned, kicked in the mouth, and left bleeding in a ditch. Ebert's opinion on this isn't just important because he's an old fart that other old farts listen to, or that old farts don't seem to die fast enough until you're one yourself. It's important because he helped legitimize something that was once a young, new, exciting, and rejected form of art. He had a chance to make the same difference again and didn't just turn it down, but actively campaigned against it. I got mine, fuck the rest of you. It's the kind of thing that, much as I really kind of idolize and respect the guy, makes it very hard to resist the temptation to draw him wearing a hat made out of dicks. Which fits his definition of art better than Braid or Shadow of the Colossus for some fucking reason. I just hope that when the grandkids are mixing uploaded personality transcripts or whatever, we don't act the same goddamn way.